Welcome to Live Daf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom, welcome back to today's Daf Yomi Pesachim Pei Zayin. We begin a new parak. Says the Mishnah Ha'isha, where will a married woman have her Korban Pesach? Which group will she join? Her husband formed a group and was sheikhed the Korban Pesach on her behalf, and so did her father. Which group will she partake in? Says the Mishnah, Bizman Shiva Beis Bala, when she's at home, she's home for Yom Tov. Shachad alei Bala v'shachad alei Avia. Suppose both her husband and her father counted her into their Korban Pesach. Where should she go? Toichal Mishil Bala. She joins her husband. Why? Says Rashi up on top, Ha'isha Toichal Mishil Bala the Mistama Data Limonais al Shil Bala. Let's assume that she wanted to join her husband. Kozman Shalei Pirsha Shlei Data B'Shel Avia. As long as she hadn't indicated otherwise. She hadn't specifically said that she's going to join her father's group. We assume she had a mind to join her husband. We're speaking, obviously, everybody's in Yerushalayim. That's where we eat the Korban Pesach. The question is, this group or that? The assumption is, she's going to join her husband. Continues the Mishnah. Halcha regel rishon la sois beveis avia. Suppose it's the first Yom Tov after the wedding. When Rashi brings, there's a minhag, derech hanasuos. It would be customary to go back home for the first Yom Tov. And indeed she went. She went home, she went to her parents' home, lasois, to celebrate Yom Tov. Now her father made a Korban Pesach, joined her in, and so did the husband. Shachat alei Avia, v'shachat alei Bala. Now she has a choice. There's no presumptions here. Toichal b'makam she'iroitza, she can pick her choice and eat wherever she'd like. So standard, typical Yom Tov, if it's not the first one after the wedding, the assumption is she'll join her husband. But if it's the first Yom Tov, then it's 50-50, and it's up to her. Continues the Mishnah. Yosem sheshachtu olav aput rupsin. Suppose a Yosem, an orphan, has some caretakers looking after him. He has 2 caretakers. Each one did a Korban Pesach and counted him in. Yoichal b'makam sheroitza, he can pick his choice. Wherever he'd like, he can join. Eved shel shnei shutfin. What if we have an Eved who belongs to 2 owners? And each one of them would like to count him into the group, to his group. Lo yoichal mishal shnein, he can't eat with either one of them. Why? Rashi explains, because Ruvain, one of the owners, has no rishus to count the other half of this Eved that doesn't belong to him into his group. This Eved is stuck. He can't join nor this nor that. Suppose he's half Eved and half free. He had 2 masters. One of them set him free. Now he's half an Eved, half ben chayrin. Lo yoichal mishal rabbi. He cannot join his master's Korban Pesach. Rashi says, Mistama, his master didn't have in mind to include the half of the Eved that doesn't belong to him. The half that belongs to him, he included in his group, but the other half, it's not his business, not his responsibility to look after that other half. And that's not automatically included into the Korban Pesach. So in summary, the Mishnah tells us that an Isha, a married woman, the first Yom Tov after the marriage, where she's somewhat drawn back to her parents' home, she has a choice. She can eat with her father or with her husband. Otherwise, on a typical Yom Tov, the assumption is she joins her husband's group. Says the Gemara, Shamas b'na yish breira. The Mishnah told us on the first Yom Tov after marriage, she had a choice. And we give her the option. You can pick and choose which one you want. Apparently, even after the Shechita, she can still make that decision, which will be applied retroactively. Through her decision now, it will be nizbar, it will be revealed and demonstrated that initially she was counted into that Korban Pesach. Because You need to be part of the group during the Shechita and the Zrika. Shamas Mino Yesh Brera, the fact that he chose her husbands, for instance, it reveals to us, it's mevarer, that she was part of his group all along. And that's a whole discussion. Many other places in the Gemara, you have this discussion about Brera. It's not so simple how Brera works. You can begin a process now and have it determined later on retroactively. Says the Gemara, "My roitza b'shas shchita." When the Mishnah says she can eat where she is roitza, where she wants, we're speaking that it was clarified during the shchita. They asked her, "Would you like to join this one or that one?" And she made a decision prior to shchita. So the Mishnah tells us the first Yom Tov, she has a choice. Otherwise, it's assumed she's drawn to her husband's group. V'raminu, we have a brayso which tells us otherwise. Isha regel harishon eicheles mishal aviyah. The first Yom Tov after the wedding, it is assumed that she joins her father. It's not like we have a choice here, and she has to make that decision. It is assumed that she's drawn there, minastam, she's part of that group. Whereas in our Mishnah, it seems like it's not so simple. It's not known conclusively that she's going to join her father. She has to make that decision. So that's one stira. The Brayso continues, Mekan ve'elach. But past the first Yom Tov, Roitza oicheles mishal aviyah, Roitza mishal bala. She has a choice. If she wants, she can join her father, otherwise her husband. Here we have another stira. Because here we say, we give her the choice. It's unknown. Whereas in our Mishnah we learn that past that first Yom Tov, Mistamash is drawn after the husband. So in short, we have two kashas. In our Mishnah we learn the first Yom Tov after the wedding, she's not automatically drawn to her father's group. It's arbitrary. She has a choice. She has to make that decision. Past the first Yom Tov, it is assumed that she's going to join her husband. Whereas in the Brayso we learn, the first Yom Tov, it's automatic that she will join her father. Past the first Yom Tov, we leave it up to her. Says the Gemara Lekasha. The answer is, depends on their marital situation. Depends how things are working out for them. Kan beredufa leilech. The Brayso is speaking that she was a frequent visitor back at home. She was homesick. Things weren't working out so well with her husband. In that case, she's more drawn back to home. And that's why we say the first Yom Tov, it's automatic that she will join her father's group. Past the first Yom Tov, 50-50. Kan, our Mishnah speaking, b'she'ena redufa. She's not drawn to her father. She's not a frequent returnee. Things are working out with her husband. She's settled at home. In which case, it's one step down. The first Yom Tov, okay, she's still a bit homesick. We say, yeah, perhaps she'd like to join her father's group, and we leave it up to her. It's not automatic, we leave it up to her. Whereas past the first Yom Tov, the automatic assumption is that she will join her husband. The Gemara here will mention another concept of redufa. The pasuk in Shir Shirim says regarding Klal Yisrael, then I was found in his eyes, shalom, I found favor in his eyes in front of Hashem. This is a mashal to a kala who was accepted. She found favor. Bebeis chamia, in her in-laws' home. Urudufa, she's so proud of it that she runs back home to her parents to relate the good news. Look, I was fully accepted in my new family. Urudufa leilech lahagid shvacha beisavia. She's rushing back home to relate her shvach, the fact that they look at her favorably, and she was accepted in the home of her in-laws. So here's another example of redufa. It's actually very different than the previous case of redufa. Rashi explained earlier, redufa meant that things weren't working out for her, and she was constantly going back home, in which case we say she's more drawn to her father. That explains the halacha now Mishnah. Rabbi Yehuda was presenting a similar concept of redufa. This time it's in a favorable light. She's rushing back home constantly to relate the good news, to convey the fact that she's been fully accepted within that new family. The Gemara continues, Ksiv or Ksiv, it's actually a new pasuk in Sefer Hosea, relating to a similar concept. This is the Asad Lavinum Hashem. Hashem says like this: Tikri Ishi, Klal Yisrael, you will call me Ishi, my married husband. V'lo Tikri li Oid Bali, rather than just Bali, which is a lower level relationship. What does this mean? Again, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Kikala b'beis Chamia. Ishi is a reference to a husband after marriage. A kala is already in the home of her in-laws, settled in. V'lo Kikala b'beis Chavia, as opposed to a kala prior to marriage, still in her father's home. Klal Yisrael will have that true connection, that intimate relationship with Hashem, like after marriage. Let's go back to Shir Shirim. Achais lanu ktana v'shadayim eila. What does this mean? We have a sister without breasts. Amar Rabbi Yechanan, another drasha on the name of Rabbi Yechanan. This is a reference to the city of Elam. Zu Elam, shezachsa lilmoid, v'lezachsa lilamed. In Elam lived Daniel, who was a great man. He was zeichet to learn, but he wasn't really engaged in spreading Torah and teaching to others. So Elam, this town, was achais lanu ktana v'shadayim eila. No shadayim to spread the Torah further, as opposed to Bavel, says Rashi, which housed Ezra HaSefer, who not only learned but taught and was marber's Torah to others. The pasuk in Shir Shirim continues, Ani chayma v'shadai kamegdolis. What is this a reference to? Amar Rabbi Yechanan, another drasha named Rabbi Yechanan. Ani chayma zu Torah. Torah is a chayma. It sets up that shield, that protection from Avera. A person immerses himself in Torah as the best protection from Avera. V'shadai kamegdolis. What is a reference to towers here? Elo Talmidei Chachamim. As Rashi explains, the Talmidei Chachamim are like Shadayim. They spread Torah, they teach Torah, they feed Torah to others. And why are they compared to Migdalis, to towers, to forts? Because as Rashi says, they are Meginin al Ador, they protect the Dor from misfortune. V'Rava Amar, another pshat, Ani chayma zu Knesset Yisrael. It's a reference to Klal Yisrael, who erect a chayma around themselves and prevent themselves from doing Avera. They keep away from Avera. V'shadai kamegdolos, elu batim knesses, batim midrashes, which are compared to forts and towers. Within the Beis Medrash, the Beis HaKnesses, we find spiritual haven that protects us from all spiritual evils. Omar Rav Zutzer bar Turvi, Omar Rav. Let's go over to a pasuk in Tehillim. My dechsiv, Asher bonenu kinetim ugedolim b'nureim. Our sons are like these young saplings. B'noisenu, our daughters, kazavius mechotaves tavnesech. What does this mean? Asher bonenu kinetim, that's Elu Bachur Yisrael, the youngsters, the Bachurim of Yisrael, which are pure. Actually, tam chet, they haven't tasted a tam chet. They maintain their spiritual integrity. They're morally upright. They're like netim, like saplings, which were not disturbed and were not ruined. B'noisenu kazaviyos, our daughters are like zaviyos. What does this mean? Elu b'sulis Yisrael, the young girls of Yisrael, sha'oigdos pischein b'alein. They reserve, they tie up their openings and reserve it for their husbands. As Rashi explains, kazaviyos is a reference to being filled. Even though they are filled with desire, they wait patiently for their husbands. We find that zaviyos is a reference to something being filled. Elsewhere we find as well that zaviyos is a reference to something being filled. So the pasuk here is praising the Bechor Yisrael and the Basulis Yisrael who maintain their kedusha and purity. The pasuk continues. What does that mean? Elu ve'elu, both of these groups, Malei and Akas of the Torah regards them as the Heichal and Beis Hamikdash was rebuilt in their days. What is the connection? Maintaining kedusha and spiritual integrity, remaining morally upright, maintains the family structure. Jewish family is a microcosm of the Beis Hamikdash. It's as though the Beis Hamikdash was rebuilt in their days. Getting back to Hoshea, the pasuk says, "Dvar Hashem asher oya el Hoshea ben Beiri b'mei Uzziah." So this was the word transmitted from Hashem to Hoshea, the Navi Hoshea, and this was in the lifetime of the following 4 kings: b'mei Uzziah, or Uzziyahu, Yosam, Achaz, and Yechezkiah. So these are 4 kings. Malchei Yehuda, the pasuk concludes, Ubimei Yoravam ben Yoish Melch Yisrael. Says the Gemara, Beperek Echad Nisnabu Dalad Neviim. Within this time span, there were actually 4 Neviim who were active during that time. V'godol shebekulan Hoshea. The greatest one amongst them was Hoshea. Shenema Tchilas Dvar Hashem b'Hoshea. The first was Hoshea. Tchilas Dvar Hashem was b'Hoshea. What does this mean? Does that mean the first time Hashem spoke to a Navi was with Hoshea? From Moshe until now, many Nevi'im came. What does the pasuk mean? The Tchilas Dvar Hashem, the first word of Hashem, was with Hoshea. It simply means that Hoshea was the first of 4 Nevi'im who were active during that period. He was the first one and presumably the greatest. Ve'eluhain, these are the 4: Hoshea, Yeshaya, Amos, and Micha. These 4 Nevi'im prophesied during that period, during the period where the 4 Malachim were active. The 4 Malachim mentioned earlier: Uzziyahu, Yosam, Achaz, and Chizki. Continues the Gemara, Amalei HaKadosh Baruch Hu LeHoshea. HaKadosh Baruch Hu turns to Hoshea and he says, Banecha chatu. Look, your children, Klal Yisrael, sinned. Now, how should have Hoshea responded? He should have been Melamed Zchus and sought Hashem's Rachmanis. V'hoyu lo leimar. Hoshea should have responded, Banechahem. They're my children, they're your children, they're your precious children. B'nei Chanunechaim. They're the children of your Chanunim, of your favored ones, the Avos. B'nei Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov. Galgal Rachamecha Alein. Express your Rachmanos on them. And he didn't say that. Not only didn't he say it in this way, actually he said something in the reverse. He said, Hashem, look, the entire world belongs to you. Just switch them with another nation. That was his response. Kadosh Baruch Hu responded to that and he said, Ma esel zaken zeh. Hashem thought, what should I do with this elder, with this Navi? How am I going to explain to him the fallacy of his response? He shouldn't have responded this way. I'm so connected to Klal Yisrael, I'm too close to them. Chas v'shalom, give them up. I'll tell him like this. Leich v'kach isha zoyna. Go and marry an isha zoyna, an immoral woman. V'hoyded lach bane b'znunim, who will bear for you children who are znunim, doubtful whether they're yours or not, because since she engages in immorality, perhaps these children aren't even his. So I'll do this. I'll tell him to get married and have these children. And then I'll tell him, you know what? Send her away. Give her a gift. Let's see what he says. If he will have the ability to send her off, I'll do the same regarding Klal Yisrael. I'm sure he won't be able to send her off. Once you develop that relationship, that closeness, you can no longer separate. Shenemar, as we find that Hashem indeed instructed Hoshea to proceed in this manner. Vayomer Hashem al Hoshea, Leich kach lecha ishes znunim, take this type of woman. V'yalde znunim, and she will bear for you children are znunim, safek if they're even yours. Okay, so Hoshea listened. Uksiv vayelech vayikach. He went and he married this Goymer bas Divlayim. He married this Isha Goymer bas Divlayim. This is a reference to her misbehavior. Goymer, what does that mean? Amarav Shakol Goymrim la Shakol Goymrim ba. So Rashi over on the bottom explains Goymrim ba bi asam v'tavas libam. they engage in immorality with her. So they're going, they expend their entire desire through her. Bas divlayim, what does that mean? Dibara, she had a bad reputation. Dibara, bas dibara, she was an isha who carried a bad reputation, a daughter of a woman who as well carried such a reputation. Divlayim, diba double, diba bas diba. So that's one shot to explain her name. Ushmul amar shemasuka bepiakol kedvela, just as a dried fig is sweet. All had a desire for her, and she was masuka like a dvela. Rabbi Yehuda amar shakol doshim bo kedvela, just as a dvela is threshed until it's flattened out, a dried fig. This isha, would thresh in her like a dvela. Davar acher, another pshat, goymer amar Yehuda shebikshu legamer mamoinan shel Yisrael b'yameh. Due to the averis, the goyim wished to deplete the moment of Klal Yisrael in her days. That's how she got the name goymer. Rabbi Yehuda amar buzz of a gomer. It actually happened. They looted and they depleted. Shnemar ki abdam melach Aram vayisim ka'afaladush. Okay, so he acquired this isha. He married this isha. And what happened? Vatar vatel ben. She bore for him a child, a son. Vayomer Hashem elu. Hashem instructed Hoshea, Kroshmoy Yisrael. Give him the name Yisrael, which, as Rashi says, is a remez to Golus. Rashi on the second line from the top says, I'm going to disperse them and distribute them and plant them out in the Golus. Says the Gemara, Kroshma Yisrael, ki oid ma'atu pakates me Yisrael abeis yeyu v'shavti mamachos veis Yisrael. I'm going to bring punishment and I'm going to bring Golus. So that was the first child. He was named Yisrael on account of the Golus. Vatar oid vatel bas. She bore him a daughter. Vayomer loy krosh or loy ruchama. Hashem tells him, give her a name loy ruchama, absence of rachmanos. Why? I will no longer have rachmanos on Yisrael. Will I be able to bear their averes? Will I be able to forgive their averes? So the second child was named loy ruchama. The third child was Vatar vatel ben Vayomer krosh moy loy ami. Give him a name loy ami. Why? Ki atem loy ami. You're no longer my nation. Vanoichi loy elochem. I'm no longer for you. So he had two sons. One was Yisrael on account of the Gzir of Golus. One was loy ami on account of you're no longer my nation. And the daughter was loy ruchama to indicate the cessation of rachmanis from Hashem to Klal Yisrael Chas v'Shalom. Now what happened? After he had two sons and a daughter. Why didn't you learn from Moshe your Rebbe, the Av HaNavim? Once I engaged with him, he separated from his wife. You too should separate yourself. And the Farshim ask, we know that this anhaga was specific to Moshe. Other Nevi'im did not separate. So what was the claim against Hoshea here? So they say that here he already was Mekayim, the mitzvah. He had a son and a daughter. Therefore, he should have separated to make himself available fully for Nevuah. Hoshea turned to Hashem and he said, Rebbeinu Shalom, man, look, she bore me children. I can't separate. But like the gosh, I can't divorce. Perhaps it's going to create a bad reputation on my children. People will say, well, something must have gone wrong and maybe they're not really legitimate children. I don't want to do that. I can't separate. Look, even you, what kind of wife do you have? A zoina. And your children they're doubtful if they're even yours. And still you're so connected. You're so bound to that relationship. You don't even know if your children are really biologically yours or not. You have this attitude. You develop that closeness which you can't give up. Look, Yisrael, Shein B'nai. Shein B'nai. Yisrael, who are my sons, my children. B'nai B'chunai, the sons of my tested ones. B'nai Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, who underwent nisyonis galore and passed with flying colors. These are their children. Look, Yisrael is one of the 4 acquisitions, precious acquisitions that I have in this world. Rashi says, Kinyan is something chashav. My acquisition, something which I toil to acquire. Yisrael is one of the 4 things. Torah is Kinyan echad echsiv, Hashem kanani reishes darkoi. Shemayim va'oretz is a Kinyan echad echsiv, Koine Shemayim va'oretz. Beis HaMikdash as well, Kinyan echad echsiv, Har ze kansi yiminoi. And Yisrael, Kinyan echad echsiv, Amzu kanisa. Klal Yisrael, my precious possession. Va'ata marta he'evirim bu ma'acheres. And you can even suggest that I should flip them over, switch them for a different nation. You should have not expressed yourself in that manner. So now that Hashem made his point, Hosea internalized it, and he said, Kiva shiyada shechata, once he realized that he spoke inappropriately, Omad lavakish racham al atzmai, began to seek rachmanas on himself. Omad l'kadosh baruch hu, look, atam avakish racham al atzmecha. Before you worry about yourself, bakish racham al Yisrael. You should daven for Yisrael. Look, because of you, because of your negative response, you generated 3 gzeres. Those 3 gzeres mentioned earlier, the Golus, Loi Ami, and Loi Ruchama. Omad ubikesh rachmem ubital gzera. So Yeshua proceeded, asked Rachmanis, and was mevatel the gzera. He was mevatel the gzera of Golus. He brought back Rachmanis to Klal Yisrael, and Klal Yisrael is now considered the Am Hashem. As a result, Hashem began being mevarach Klal Yisrael shenema v'hoya mitzvah b'nei Yisrael k'chol hayam v'hoya b'makam asher yo'emer lahem lo yami atem. Instead of them being considered lo yami, yo'emer lahem b'nei kel chai v'nikibtzu b'nei Yehuda b'nei Yisrael yachtov v'zratil ba'oretz, I'll plant them in Eretz Yisrael. So this undoes the gzer of Golus. And finally, the 3rd gzer of Rachmanas v'ruchamti es loy ruchama v'amarti loy ami ata. Hashem restored Rachmanas. All 3 things were restored. No more Golus. Rachmanas came back, and they are not considered the Am Hashem. Amar Rabbi Yehuda. We mentioned earlier that the 4 Nevi'im outlasted the 4 kings. Oyla l'rabbonos shemekaberes es baleh. Woe to Rabbonos, one who occupies a high position of authority and conducts himself with an air of haughtiness and authority. It undoes him. It can shorten his life. Look, all those 4 Nevi'im that we mentioned earlier, they all lived through 4 lifespans, 4 kings. Apparently the kings lived short. He was one of the 4 Nevi'im that we mentioned earlier. This was his nevuah, and the pasuk continues. When did this take place? He experienced nevuah during the lifetime of these 4 kings. Yosam, Achaz, and Yechezkiel Malchei Yehuda. So we find that the Malachim lived a very short life. Omar Rabbi Yechanan, why was Yeravam ben Yosh, the Melech Yisrael, Zoiche to be counted together with the Malchei Yehuda? Limanes in Malchei Yehuda. To be listed together with Malchei Yehuda, who were of a much higher status than the Malchei Yisrael. So why is it? Says the Gemara, because he had a schus on account that he refused to believe, to accept Lashon Hara, which was related to him on Amos. Minolan, where do we find this? The Imni, that he was listed together with the Malchei Yehuda. The Chsiv, Dvar Hashem, Asher Hoya Hashem and Be'eri. This was the pasuk mentioned earlier, the word of Hashem with Hosea, and this took place during the period of the reign of these kings, B'mei Uzziah, and Yosem, and Achaz, and Yechizkiah. These were Malchi Yehuda. And the pasuk concludes, "B'mei Yeravam ben Yoash Melech Yisrael." So here the pasuk paired together Yeravam, although he was a king of a much lower status, Melech Yisrael, not Melech Yehuda. Here he's being listed together on account of his schus that he refused Lashon Hara. Uminalan de lekibel Lashon Hara. Where do we find that he refused Lashon Hara? Chsiva Yishlach Amatzi Kohen Beis El. Amatzi, who was a priest by the Avodah Zarah, he sent a message. El Yeravam Melech Yisrael. Look, Leimar Kosher Alecha, that Amos is plotting against you. Uksiv ki kai Amar Amos b'cherev Yomas Yeravam. He's going to die, so he's plotting against you. Amar Yeravam responded, Chas v'sholom Amar oiset tzadikach. I'm not accepting this. I don't believe that the tzaddik spoke in this manner. Vim Amar, and you know what? Even if he did say that, Ma esaloi, there's nothing I can do to him. Shechina Amrloi. He was speaking in the name of Hashem. So on account of his refusal to accept Lashon Hara and hold it against Amos, he had a schus and he was counted together with Malchi Yehuda. He was held in a higher regard. Amar B'las, afilu b'shas kas shel Kadosh Baruch Hu, zoicher es rachmim. We find that even when Hashem expresses kas, he still recalls Rachmanas as well. Shenemar, Kili oisif oid aracham es Beis Yisrael. I will no longer have Rachmanas on Klal Yisrael. We find that he's making reference to Rachmanas even in an expression of agitation. He could have simply said, look, from now on I'm going to have Achzoris, I'm going to be mean with them. Instead, he uses Lashon Rachmanas, I will no longer have Rachmanas. He's referencing the concept of Rachmanas even in a time of Kas. We have another source for this concept. Ki nasai esalahem. Hashem says, can I forgive them? So he's referencing a positive thing. Instead of just saying, I won't forgive them, can I forgive them? So he's putting in a somewhat of a positive twist here. Making reference to the concept of forgiveness, the concept of Rachmanis, even in a time of Kas. The Gemara will proceed with a discussion on the concept of Golus. He meant to know that Hashem, the only reason Hashem dispersed us all amongst the nations of the world, Hashem would have wanted to punish Yisrael, he could have just picked the most simple punishment. Why did he choose to punish them in this manner, to send them out throughout the Ummahs? The reason was so that Gerim will attach themselves to Klal Yisrael. The fact that Yisrael are found throughout the nations, that attracts Gerim. Shenemar Uzratia Libaretz. We're speaking about Golus, and we have a reference to the concept of sowing, of planting. Apparently there's a correlation between planting and exile. Why does a person plant a sa'ah volume of seeds? The point is to reap much more, many kurim, which grow out of these seeds. The same thing regarding Klal Yisrael and Golus. The point is to send them out, to spread the light, and to incorporate the spiritual elements within the nations into Klal Yisrael and attract Ger. Rabbi Mendelowitz from Masifta Torah V'das used to say that the point of Golus, he says every nation, every country has its own unique culture, its way of life. And we're meant to know that within everything is embedded a spark of Kedusha, a spark of holiness, which is meant to be incorporated into Torah mitzvahs, into Kedusha. He says, which we have to try to incorporate the positive elements of our environment, of our culture, of our surroundings into Torah. He used to point to the generosity of the Hungarians, the punctuality of the Germans, the intellect of the Russians, the good-heartedness of the Americans. And all these elements are meant to be incorporated into Torah, into Yiddishkeit. That's the point of sending Klal Yisrael throughout the world, to bring back all these positive elements and to adapt it and adopt it and incorporate it into Kedusha. Continues the Gemara. Rabbi Yehuda Mihacha. This is the source. The following pasuk is the source that the point of Golus is to attract ger. V'richamti es loy ruchama. And the pasuk continues. V'amarti loy ami. I will say to the ones that aren't my nations, the goyim, who are as yet not my nation, I will say, loy ami ata. You are my nation. This is a reference to gerim being attracted to Klal Yisrael. Amar Rabbi Yochanan mishum Shimon Ichai. My dichsiv al talshin eved el adonav. Don't squeal on a eved to his master. Penny kalelcha v'ashamta. And the pasuk continues there. This is the next pasuk. Uksiv adoir aviv yikalel v'esima lo yivarach. What's the connection? Mishum da aviv yikalel v'esima lo yivarach. Because this nation curses his father and doesn't bless his mother. Al talshin. You're not meant to say lashon hara on him to his master. The pasuk seems to be giving a reason. Don't do it because we're speaking about a generation who conducts himself in that manner. What's the connection? Is that a reason to refrain from saying lashon hara to his master? Rather, the pasuk here is highlighting the lesson we learned today. Afilu dur, even if you have a dur who is very low in madrega, sha'aviv yikalel, v'es'imali yivarach, referring to Hashem, who don't conform to the words of Hashem. Still, be careful in the way you express yourself. They're still Hashem's children. Al talshin eved al adonav. Minolan, how do we know this? Yeshaya. From this whole story of Yeshaya, who referenced Klal Yisrael in a negative light. Even though they were balichet, he shouldn't have done so, and in fact Hashem pointed that out to him. Amar ba'isha, my dichsiv, tzidkas perzoyne b'Yisrael. What does this pasuk mean? Tzedakah asak l'shbacha b'Yisrael. Hashem did a great favor to Klal Yisrael. Shepizron the bein umas, by dispersing them throughout the nations of the world. Perzoyne is learned as pizroyne. Hashem distributed Klal Yisrael throughout the world. And this was a tova, because now the goyim can't wipe out Klal Yisrael. Right? We have a precedent from Yaakov with Esav. He split the machne, some here, some there, and he said, look, even if Esav will arrive and strike this machne, the other one will be saved. And the Ramban on the Chumash explained that this symbolizes the whole process of Golus, that Hashem dispersed Klal Yisrael, and there's always going to be some remnant of Klal Yisrael left over. We have a promise that Klal Yisrael is eternal. You know that during the Second World War, right? Even though so many were wiped out, but Hashem left over some corners in this world where Klal Yisrael found safe haven. So that was at stuck. Hashem was mefazer Klal Yisrael this way. Klal Yisrael will survive. As we find in this exchange between the min, this heretic, with Rabbi Chanina, he said like this: Anan ma'alinan menaich. Look, us Goyim are superior to you. Ksibbuchu, by you, Yisrael, it says, Kisheshes chadoshem yashev sham. Yoav spent 6 months by Amalek till he wiped them out. Within 6 months they were gone. Veilu anan, now look at us. Isinchu gaban kamashni. Look how many years, Yisrael, you live amongst us. Look, we don't touch you. We're much better than you. We're morally upstanding people. Omar Lois, Rabbi Chanina responded, don't be so proud. One of the Talmudim here will take care of you. Nitfalei Rabbi Yehoshua came over to him. Omar Lei, and he responded to the min as follows: it's not out of goodwill that you spare us. You simply have no choice. You don't know how to proceed. Well, you must be thinking, well, let's wipe out all of Yisrael. You don't have access to all of Yisrael. They're all over the world. What about killing the ones amongst you? Well, people will say this is a a government, a chopped government, they killed out half their citizens. It doesn't. It's unbecoming. This way, you're in a dilemma. You can't harm us. It's not out of goodwill. It's simply circumstantial. Amar lei. So the men responded, you have a point. Gapa d'Remoy. Gapa was a reference to Avodah Zarah. He swore in the name of the Avodah Zarah of the Romans. You hit right on. B'hanach sinan. With these thoughts, we go down. B'hanach salkinan. We go up. It's a term to say that we're preoccupied with this all the time. How to get rid of Yisrael Chas v'Shalom, and we're constantly facing this dilemma, and that's why things are just left the way they are. In any case, we see that the fact that Hashem dispersed Klal Yisrael throughout the nations was actually a toiva and a chesed which preserves us. Hashem understood the derech and the makom of the Torah. Hashem knows full well that we can't. Klal Yisrael can't sustain the gzeros, difficult decrees, which the Edoimim, the Romans, the Achzorim, the Amalekim, the Germans want to apply to us. That's why initially Hashem sent him off to Bavel, where things were a bit easier. The reason why Hashem sent Klal Yisrael to Bavel was because Bavel lies very low, the terrain is low, and that will precipitate our Geula. Shenemar miyat shoel evdeim mimavez egolim. I will be put them from shoel. Shoel is the lashon of Gehenna, but it means that the low down areas of Bavel resemble the lowliness of Gehenna. When Klal Yisrael is in a very low state, that's when we merit Geula. Rav Chanina Amar, the reason why Hashem sent Klal Yisrael to Bavel was because the language spoken in Bavel, the native language, Aramaic, is very close in nature to Lashon Torah. And this will help Yisrael understand the Torah and retain Torah better, since the native language resembles Torah's language. Rabbi Yehuda Amar, the reason why he sent Yisrael to Bavel was he sent them back home, their parents' home. And Bavel is where our parents grew up. Rashi says Avram grew up in Bavel or Kazan. And recently they discovered the archaeologists discovered a ancient town somewhere in Iraq, which they claim to be Ur Kasdim, which was the place where Avram Avinu was raised. And as we see here, indeed it is in Bavel, which is presumably Iraq. The truth is that the Ramban says that he was born in Haran, which is elsewhere, Turkey or Syria, but the place where he grew up was in Ur Kasdim in Bavel. Hashem sent Klal Yisrael back home. You don't behave, you go back home. Mashal Adam Shekas Al Ishtei, mashal to a man who got upset on his wife. Lechem Meshag, where does he send her? Lebeis Ima, back home. So this is a toiva. At least they felt comfortable, went back home. V'hainu, the Rebbe Alexandri, and this conforms with Rebbe Alexandri's lashon. The Amar, he said like this: Shloisha chazum ata'asin. There are three things that return to their source. Elohim. These three things: Yisrael, Kesef Mitzrayim, Uksav Luchas. Yisrael Hadamar, as we just said, they went back home. Kesef Mitzrayim returned to the source. The Chsiv. This is a reference to the Kesef, the money that Yisrael took out of Mitzrayim when they left Mitzrayim, but eventually it was returned. The Chsiv. Vahi b'shana chamishis l'melech Ruchavim Ola Shishak melech Mitzrayim l'Yishalayim. Shishak, the king of Mitzrayim, came to Yishalayim, and he took everything back to Mitzrayim. So eventually he went back home. What about the Ksav HaLuchais, the writing on the Luchais after the Chet HaEglash? Moshe Rabbeinu broke the Luchais, and where did the letters go? Where did the Ksav return to? It went back home, went back to its source, up to Shemayim. The Chsiv V'ashabrim le'nechem. Moshe Rabbeinu says, look, I broke the Luchais le'nechem. What does this mean? Let's see Rashi. Two lines from the bottom. Le'nechem k'leim adavar pela risam. It was something wondrous that you noticed. Risam sham sha'ayin poin l'stakal b'ay. Le'nechem means something which attracts attention. What was that? It says the Gemara on the bottom line, Tana, we learned in the Brayso, Luchais nishtabru. True, the Luchais broke. What happened to the Oisis? The Oisis perchos. The Oisis were floating up in the air back to the source. Ula Amar, why did Hashem send Yisrael to Bavel? To make it easier for them to learn Torah. Kadei sheyochlu tamarim so that they sustain themselves with dates which are found in abundance in Bavel, v'yaskav Torah, which are able to learn Torah. They have parnos. Ula ikla pumbedisa, ula visited pumbedisa, krivule tirina, the tamri. They offered him a basket of dates. Amalu, so he asked them, Kama kihane bezuzah, how much does it go for? How many of these baskets go for a zuz? Amalu, it's last bezuzah, 3 for a zuz, they're very cheap. Amar, so Ula responded, wow, food is so cheap in this area? Malay tzana the dufsha bezuzah, a basket full of honey dates, go for a zuz. Food is so cheap. Ubavloyle askibar raisa. And why aren't the Bnei Bavel engaged in immersed in learning? Look, parnasa comes so easy. So that happened by day. He ate those dates and he had an upset stomach. Balalia, Tziaru, he was in agony on account of these dates that he ate. Now he changed his attitude. Now he's impressed with the Bnei Bavel. Amar, Maloitzana Samad Moisa. Look, a basket full of Samad Moisa poison goes for a zuz. It's so cheap and attractive, and inevitably the Bnei Bavel sustain themselves with this product. Maloitzana Samad Moisa Bezuzah Bebavel, and they still learn Torah despite their agony and pain. Ubavloy aski baraisa. Now I'm impressed. Okay, let's make a quick chazar of today's daf. We began with a Mishnah. We had a halachic discussion, and then we went to Agada. What about an Isha who's married and she has a choice? She's faced with a decision. Should I eat at home with my husband or with my father? Which Korban Pesach am I meant to take part of? The Mar concluded, it depends on the situation, domestic situation. Typically, when things are settled and working out with her husband, we say that even the first Yom Tov, which Rashi says is derech hanasois, to go back to her parents' home, it's not automatic that she joins her father's Korban Pesach, rather she has a choice. It's 50-50, and we'll leave it up to her. The Gemara says she has to make a decision before the Shechita, of course. That's the first Yom Tov. Past the first Yom Tov, the assumption is that she will join her husband. In a case where she's excessively homesick, things aren't working out so well, she's redufa leilchle ve'savi. Over there we assume the first Yom Tov, she automatically joins her father, but thereafter we leave it up to her. We discussed the chavivus of Hashem to Klal Yisrael. We discussed the mila of the Bachuri and Besulis Yisrael who maintain their purity. We had the whole interaction between Hashem and the Navi Hoshea, who initially was not Malam Tzchus in Klal Yisrael, and he was made to marry an Isha and have children, and then asked to separate, which he couldn't, and Hashem proved to him that it's something you're not meant to do, and the close relationship that I have with Klal Yisrael is way more intense, way more meaningful, and of course, it's eternal. Klal Yisrael is a kinyan acquisition, a precious acquisition. Amos turned around and asked Rachmanis, and Hashem was Mabat L'Gzeira of Golus, and was Ma'ir Rachmanis, and again counted us to be his nation. We discussed the Rabbanos, how it's Mekaver Ba'aleo. We discussed the fact that even B'Shas Kaseh HaKadosh Baruch Hashem still expresses Rachmanis. We discussed the purpose of Golus, to attract Gerim and the elements of Kedusha found amongst the cultures of the world. We discussed the tzedakah that Hashem did with Klal Yisrael, the chesed, by dispersing us throughout the world. This way we're safe. And finally, the reason why Hashem initially sent Klal Yisrael into Golus, the initial main Golus was Golus Bavel. Many reasons given, whether it was because the Gzeros are lighter there, whether because it's deep down, which will precipitate the Geula, whether it's because it's back home, or as Ula said initially, look, there are lots of Tamarim there, and then he changed his mind. He said, actually, it makes it a bit more difficult, and he extolled the Mesiras Nefesh of the Bnei Bavel. All the best, Natzlacha Rabbah.